Good evening, everyone. I now call the Sherborn Board of Health meeting of January 7th, 2026 to order at 7:02 p.m. Happy New Year. Given that this is a virtual meeting, board members are required by state law to announce their presence. We shall do so via roll call.
Daryl Beardsley, aye. Or present, sorry.
Steve Constantine, present.
Julie Dreyfus, present.
Diana Hook, present.
And confirming, I don't see Rebecca. As per usual, Sarah, if you notice Rebecca coming in, please interrupt us so that we can note when she became present. All right. First off, let's look at the agenda. I'm aware that we have at least one amendment to the agenda this evening for an item that was not anticipated in the last 48 hours. And that is to add one more business to our food establishment permits for approval. So I move to amend the agenda to add the food establishment permit application for approval for Sherborn Wine and Spirit.
So moved.
Second.
I heard a motion and a second. No further discussion.
Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
And do we have any other amendments that need to be made to tonight's agenda that anyone is aware of? I'm hearing none. All right, so the agenda will stand with that single amendment and otherwise as posted. We do not have any scheduled appointments this evening. We have 2 items under our agent's business and a number of annual permits that need to be reviewed and approved. I want to make sure that if I know for one of them, it is a building application for a floor plan review, and I believe we are anticipating the builder or representative to be present at tonight's meeting. Mark, can you confirm if that representative is present this evening, or are we still waiting?
I believe the owner is here of the property of 24 Greenwood. I do not see, I can double check. I don't see the builder here as of yet, but I believe we have the homeowner. Am I correct in saying that?
That's correct, Mark. My name is Kwai Joe, and I just texted Deleandro, so hopefully I can hear from him soon.
Thank you so much, and nice to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. We're happy to give you guys a moment if you need a second. We just didn't want to keep you waiting.
Hi, Quado, and hi everyone. Hi, Mark. Nice to virtually meet you guys.
Nice to meet you.
Andrew.
Julie, Rebecca is on now.
Oh, thank you. Before we take up 24 Greenwood, Rebecca, could you just announce your presence for the meeting?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. Rebecca Honeywell, present.
Thank you. Excellent. We have a full board. So why don't we start with 24 Greenwood, the building application review. Mark, do you want to introduce this to the board, and then we can go
Sure. And as
the owner and builder?
Yep, by all means. And as noted a few minutes ago, the owner's here as well as the builder. And we do have plans on the Google document file. You have the plan of the original change to the house. It shows that picture of the house at the beginning. And then if you scroll down, that's the second plan that was submitted. And the first plan shows a picture of the house and architectural plans. So we can look at both. So just so the board knows, I'll wait for it to show up. And then we can go over each. So there's the house plans that were submitted originally, changed, revised, and they were revised because originally the house came in showing 10 rooms and 5 bedrooms per our definition in the code. And I can go over that because it's confusing to some people that haven't dealt with our local regulations. Just so everyone knows, we require that if designing, that any room over the first floor is considered a bedroom. So that was one of the main concerns. As you can see in the basement plan that's showing up right now, there's a division between 2 different areas. One area is a gym. There you go. Perfect place to put the marker. And you'll see the gym equipment. And the other side is a family type room. And there's a half bathroom in the center. So I don't know if there's any questions on that, but I thank the architect for showing some of the furniture and so forth. It does help to understand the room styles and what the purposes are. So that's the basement level. And then this is the first floor, the garage, 3-car garage in the back. There's an outside patio that's out there exactly. So that doesn't count as a room there. And then inside you have the kitchen and an eating area. Now, I looked at that as one room, but again, the board, I know you make the final decision. But I counted that as one room. And then next to that is the living area with the fireplace and the stairs to the back. And I counted that as room 4, correct? Yep. And then over to the front, yeah, is the an office area, an office room. And the next room is the master bedroom on the first floor. And again, the architect did a good job showing the functions of the rooms. And then the second floor is where we get to a variety of rooms. And you'll see this one, I'm just trying to, let's see. Yep, there's a bedroom there, another bedroom there. And then the master bedroom there, exactly. And then you'll have the hallway, and into that other spot was originally noted as a bedroom, but they looked at that as redefining it as a hallway, and that's why originally that's why I put this on the agenda, because it was originally a room converted to a hallway, but I didn't see, and the builder and I spoke about this. I didn't see that as really an open hallway. I saw that as part of a room. So I counted that as the 10th room, where they show the chairs and the table and so forth.
Yeah.
So that was the first concept. And the hallway does show a sofa, but it's wide open. It opens to the stairs. I didn't count that as a room. So that's how I define the first plan submitted as 10 rooms, and I'm bringing it to the board to see if indeed you felt the same way about the hallway being originally a bedroom and now converted by opening up the space from the hallway to that office area, or as they were calling it, part of the hallway. We talked about it, the builder and I, over that, and I'm ready for any questions, but you'll see they did submit a new plan that'll be shown next, but if there's any questions, there's the new plan, second floor. The first floor and the basement level, I do not believe change in any way, but what was just shown was the reconcept, the redrawn second floor. There it is. And they decided to, and we talked about the builder again, and I had some conversations about seeing if the laundry room could move into the hallway area. That was that room, let's say, to the bottom left, what's called now Suite 1. And so their concept was to take what was labeled bedroom 2 into a laundry room. And you'll see that there. Yep, thank you. Good job getting back and forth on this. But so bedroom 2 the decision was by the builder and owner, I'm sure, it was to make it a laundry room. But that's why I'm bringing this to the board is being a laundry room, it's 11 by 30, 11 by 12, making it 132 square feet. So it's quite a large laundry room, and you'll see that on that other plan. And you can look at both plans and, maybe let me know your decision on it. But I would still have concerns about that bedroom two being converted to a laundry room. At the size it's noted as. But again, it's up for discussion, and that's why I presented it this way. This is being presented to the board for your review, and I'm ready for any questions.
Just a note to the board, this property is approved with a 4-bedroom septic.
Correct. Thank you, Julie. I forgot
Yeah.
to say that.
Go,
Yeah.
go ahead, Daryl.
I just have a clarifying question. It looked to me that near the patio in the back off the first floor plans, there is the porch. It looked, just from the drawings or one set of drawings, it looked like it might be a screened-in porch, but I just wanted to verify that.
No, it's not. It's just a fall protection guardrail around. There's no screen on it.
Oh, okay.
And yeah.
Okay.
Well, why don't I can take the first stab and then we can go to board members. So, Mark, in review, I agree with the count of 2 rooms in the basement. I agree with the count of 4 rooms on the first floor, one of which is a bedroom. And then looking at Steve, I can't tell if it's Steve or Sarah who is operating the screen right now. Could we pull up the recently received second floor redesign that shows the laundry room relocated? So I believe, Delandra, that is the version that we're looking at this evening primarily. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, we wanted to discuss that version, and also like just to be clear, like the original plan that we had, it was a study room for the kids. That's why I have a desk there and some other stuff. But it's actually it's counted as part of the hallway. That's what we were showing before. And discussing with the owner, we decided, okay, like what if we make that area a suite 1, suite 2, to have a larger walk-in closet, and then the laundry. But on this version, if you see, this is not 12 feet because it's just a hand sketch. It's smaller. We pushed the wall of the bathroom towards the window more if you compare to the previous version. So this is not an 11 by 12. It's more like 11 by 10 and a half size laundry. So the laundry got smaller because we made it the bathroom in a different orientation, and also the walk-in closet got done differently as well.
Yeah, and this is quite Joe, the owner. I would be interested to hear the board's thoughts on the first plan that was shown, and the study area that we were talking about. Because I mean, there is an office on the first floor, but I'm hoping that I don't let the kids run rampant around there, and that the top floor area would be dedicated to their homework and things like that. But I'll be curious to hear the board's thoughts on it, even before we move on to this version of
Sure.
the proposal.
Okay.
We would be happy to go
Julie,
back
if you
to.
want to, I'd be happy
Sure,
to also.
let's pull it up. So I'd like to have the visual. We can absolutely go through both. And so as it's getting pulled up, I can tell you as Mark, I'm sure, has explained, under our local regulations, any room above the first floor is considered a bedroom. There are exceptions where it has to be at least 70 square feet. It has to have a certain head height to meet building code in terms of being a habitable space. There are circumstances when we have allowed a room to be a laundry room and not counted, and we can review that when we get to that section of the plan. But one of the things that the board has encountered over the years is when you have a very convenient space where after everything's said and done, it's exactly the opening of a doorway where someone would come in and do unpermitted work. And that's when we see houses getting out of compliance. So I completely understand your use case. And so just to be clear, that's what we're trying to look at here. So if we can zoom in on that area, that would be great.
Yeah,
So
I have the wrong one pulled up right now. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna pull.
no, I think that's the one that we're going to discuss first, actually, Sarah. That's perfect.
Oh, this one?
If
I
you
thought,
could,
I'm sorry.
yep,
thought
I'm
that-
sorry. Quadrio said that we should do this one first, and that's completely fine with me. If you could zoom in for the right side of that page, that would be helpful, just so we can all see it a little bit better. So it's really the fact that the space between the laundry room and what's listed as the social bath is the size of a doorway, is how the board has looked at this in the past and asked that this be changed so that this is a little bit bigger opening. And so for me to be consistent, it would be really hard with that layout of the social bath relative to the laundry and that very convenient door width of a gap between the two. It'd be better if somehow the laundry room and the social bath could be rearranged so that that hallway opening landing space is, I would say, even more consistent with what is on the other side of the stairwell when you come up. That's a nice open landing space, whether or not you put couch or whatever it might be there. That kind of an opening is what we're looking for to be similar on the other side when you get it to the top of the stairs. So that's
Julie,
my take.
Julie,
Yeah.
can I ask you a question? What if, like you mentioned that the entryway to the study be wider? So, what if the laundry room now, as it is, becomes a laundry closet? So basically, we push the doors all the way close to the machines, and you open the doors, you have access to the machines, and now you have this much wider opening, so it's like where it would be used as a study.
That is a possibility. Do you have a tool to let us know how wide that would potentially be? We just don't have
I,
CAD or
I,
anything to look at that.
Yeah, we could easily make that this opening right now is about 3 foot wide, like the way it is now. We could easily make it like around 5'6" or close to 6 feet. So we bring the laundry room doors close to the machine, and then have hinges that you can open up and have access to the. And I need to get approval from Quadro on this idea, but this is just out of what you mentioned before.
Yeah, and tonight's goal is to give you options so that you can go back and brainstorm and decide what you would like to do moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if that opening is in fact being opened to, close to 6 feet, it makes it far, far more unlikely that someone is going to, after the fact, add in a doorway and close that off to be a bedroom. But we should go to the other board members to see their thoughts on if that became a laundry closet.
I like that idea. And I also would like to speak to the owner that, hey, your kids could bring over the boyfriend and girlfriend. They could study together with a 6 foot opening. You don't have to worry.
I would agree.
Good thought, Diana.
Not until they're 18, but I would agree.
Other members of the board about the idea of converting the laundry room to a closet and opening this space up wider.
Yeah, just so I understand a little bit better, so that wall that contains the door for the laundry room, that would be all slid in, and it would be probably in the area of the L or the A in the word laundry. Is that correct? And it would be a much wider opening?
Yes, that's correct, Stephen.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah, I think that's a great idea because it opens that up quite a bit more.
So I think that is a possibility. I just wanted to point out that even though it doesn't look like a bedroom as it's configured now, it doesn't have a door. Again, the conversion would be very simple to make, and we see that enough, over time, use of a house. And we're trying to evaluate a house for its long-term use potential, not how just the current owners are going to use it. Because everyone can choose to use the rooms differently. So as it is now, I also see it as just a plain old room. So whether we call it a bedroom or not, still comes out to a room count of 10 overall with it as it is now. So I do think the widest you can get that would help to make it look like it's continuous with the hallway, and therefore it is a large hall. I understand functionality, like swapping it for that social bathroom might be a little hard, and putting it next to the stairs where it would be more open would also perhaps impact its use as a study area. So that gets a little tricky. And then the other thing we've often talked about is 6-foot plus opening for something to be continuous with another space, as in that study space being continuous with the hall.
Rebecca, would you like to weigh in on your thoughts? Oh, you're muted, Rebecca. We can't hear you.
So I don't know if Rebecca is speaking, but I had a follow-up question on Daryl's point that she just made.
Sure, Rebecca, when you
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so just so I make sure I understand correctly. So did you comment on potentially flipping or basically taking the social bath into the to be in line pretty much with the laundry room, and then the room would then be, or the study area would then be an open area that the hallway flows into it? Is that what you're saying? And it would be
Yeah, that's just an option. Again,
okay.
you
Okay.
need to decide what is going to work for you, but that
Yeah.
just could be another way of preserving your laundry room if that's important.
Okay. That does make sense. So maybe Deleandro, we can talk about this more, but the idea of bringing the
Yeah.
study area closer to the
So
to the
we floated this other idea. Yeah, like the social would stay here, and then laundry would be right here on this space as a laundry room, and then your study area would be this open hallway space right there. But I don't know if that would kind of work for you. Like this becomes an open space, this whole area here.
sorry, are you showing
Oh, yeah,
which one?
that's
So if this whole area becomes an open space,
Mhm.
and then on this is laundry, like right here in the front, and that way social bath could stay there too. That's also another possibility. But like
Okay.
in this case, the study area is kind of like open to the hallway, like a little more instead of on a little enclosed area.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can discuss that as well. But these are really good options that we can consider. I don't know if you wanted Rebecca to comment, and then we'll go to the new proposal, and then we can
Sure.
get feedback on that
Can
as
you hear me
well.
now?
Yes.
If I don't get interference. Oh my God. I don't know. Oh my goodness. Can you hear me now without interference?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
So my only comment is that our main goal is to just look at potential, and which is why the state gives us room count as our guideline. Because what we really care about is septic capacity, septic output, risks to drinking water. And so it's really, to me, it looks like a room. And even if you move the laundry into that little space, it's still a room. And that is the problem because it's not really our job to interpret how you use the space. It's just, is there potential for future increased septic capacity? And that's how the room count relates to the definition of how big, or not the definition. The definition of a room relates to the calculations of a septic system and the requirements for the size of a septic system. So it's not, I hate, and it's my least favorite thing to do to speculate how you might use the space. And I don't really want to get into judging your use. I just unfortunately think that it looks like a room. And that means that if it isn't you, it could be someone else, but it could be you that could have a really good area to live in and then therefore increase septic use. And that's the problem. So those are my only comments beyond what everyone else has said.
So to clarify, there are two, looking at this, there are two rearrangements that have been offered up. One is to reduce the current laundry room so that it is a closet with doors that come just shy of the units, making that opening, as Daryl noted, we like to see something greater than 6 feet, greater than a pair of French doors. And that would make that hallway continuous as you come up the stairway and turn to the left. The other option that was just laid out is taking the social bath and shifting it to the left so that it's then basically in line with the current laundry room, making it
Yeah.
so that hallway space as you come up the stairs is continuous and open.
Yeah.
So in either of those scenarios, Rebecca, do one or both of those look less like a room to you? Because they're trying to figure out how to rearrange their floor plan so that it doesn't look like a room.
I'll also mention
Pretty
that
big.
the third option would have the entire hall up there look more like not quite an upside down, but a sideways L, where the laundry and the social bathroom are both towards the front.
Right. But in that scenario, it's kind of making the laundry and the social bath so that they occupy the same length of wall on one
Right.
side of the building.
Right.
I think that's
Right.
which might be towards the front of the house or the side of the house, but I think that's the general concept. Okay. So it sounds like Claudio and Gilandros, that at least for a majority of the board, those two scenarios that we talked about, opening up that hallway so that you really could not, a future occupant could not easily close that off with the door. That would work for us to be able to not count that as a room. Do you have further questions on this layout, or should we go to the other concept?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sarah, when you can, and Sarah, thank you so much for your wonderful highlighting drawing. You do it with such ease. The other concept that was sent to us was this, and Deleandro, if you want to, I don't know if you have any particular comments about this, but I completely understand what you're doing here, making each of these rooms en suite. The one comment that I will share with you both and then remind the board is that we've actually seen a second floor laundry room fairly recently, just in this past summer, at a house over on Nason Hill Road. And so in that situation, for us to count the laundry room not as a bedroom, that space was just over 50 square feet. So it was shy of the 70 square feet required under the state code to be a habitable room. It also had built-in cabinets and shelving to around the units, and I think it had a built-in ironing board and those kind of components where it would make it very difficult for someone to then start using that as a bedroom. And in that scenario, we had approved that space to be a laundry room and not count as a bedroom or a room. And so I think that would be, for me, in this scenario, what I would expect to see here for it to pass muster. But why don't we go to the other board members to see what their thoughts are on this scenario?
I agree with what you said, and I'll add that there was also the plumbing coming out of the wall to support the washing machine and vents for the dryer. So it was
Yeah,
clearly set up.
yeah, you had all of the infrastructure there for a laundry. Yeah. Other board members about this proposal.
How many square feet is the new laundry room?
Right now we are sort of projecting around 10 by 11, so it's 110 square feet. Which, like, if you think about like where I highlighted now is in green. In order to have any laundry machines, you need a minimum of a 3 by 3 area, for the size of the equipment. So side by side units with the sink and everything, it's going to take this much space. And this other corner here would be like what you guys were mentioning, like built-ins for ironing and storage and stuff. So right now you see a big open room, but at the end of the day, it will be much smaller. So, but it is more than a 70 square feet that you mentioned.
And that, to me, is one of the trickier things because we do see laundry rooms on the second floor with some frequency over the years, and they are not this large, though. So this is where it's a little more challenging. Easily converted by another user who then doesn't know why they shouldn't do that.
Yeah, we're considering this for the life of the structure, not just for your particular use. Diana, did you have other comments or questions about this scenario? Where it sounds like for you to, in this scenario, to be comfortable looking at this laundry room as a laundry room and not as a room because we have to keep the room count to 9, what would you need to see?
Oh, a slightly smaller room. Because I'm thinking even if you had, well, I guess if you have the plumbing there for the laundry room, and with a sink,
Yep.
yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, I understand what you guys say about square footage, but in order to have any laundry equipment, you do need plumbing work to be done. You have exhaust piping that needs for dryer. So that being said, you would have a sink, so you have like drainage and vent pipes running in there and water lines that's going to be there. Yeah, it has a full structure as a laundry area. So to convert that back to a bedroom, that's really tricky, like you guys are mentioning, for any potential buyers or whoever moves in 20 years from now, I don't know, but it would be tricky. It would be not as simple as people might think.
So
Other board members?
I just had again, not trying to design things on the fly here, but if you took the laundry room and the wall on the left, right next to that green rectangle, and you move that into right where the window is, would that drop it below the 70 square feet?
It would be more like around 90 square feet, like we could
Okay.
potentially put that bathroom wall closer to that window, and then you would have somewhere around like 90 to to like almost 100 square feet. So it will not be below 70. In order to be below 70, you see like this 7 inch. So I'm gonna use a different color here. 70 square feet would be this right here. This is about 70 square feet of space. That's 7 feet right there, where this, let me use this. This is 70 square feet right here. And this is 11 feet. So if you take about a foot out, that's what 70 square feet would look like. So then it's a room, but you only have the machines. You have no room for storage, right? Which kind of doesn't make sense. You have a house this big, and then you have like a tiny. Either you make it a closet, or you don't make it a room at all, because like it's almost not a room.
Yeah,
What if you had like within the laundry room a linen closet? Would the linen closet be counted in that?
That's the idea where this smaller green rectangle is, like to have a
That's going to
smaller,
be the linen closet.
right? Yeah,
Okay.
and they could have it like I mean, we were discussing this to have like a hidden iron table, like that you could just like open up a door and then lower that, and use it for whatever. So that's basically what were thinking of when we discussed this other option.
Okay.
yeah. And the layman idea behind this laundry room is if we have all that space and we can dedicate it to a more pleasurable laundry session for for my wife, I think that would be nice. And just to clarify, the 70 is not necessarily codified in local regulation per se, right? That's 70 square foot, but
I can
if
help
we
answer
do,
that if
okay,
the board so wishes. 70 square feet is the minimum requirement to have one person sleep in a bedroom, and
okay,
120 is the minimum requirement to have two people sleeping in a bedroom. So that's why the board has looked at less than 70 square feet in the past. That's built into the housing codes, just so you know where that's located.
got
Thank
it,
you, Mark.
got it. But then would all the things that DeLeandro has talked about, like having the linen closet and including the ironing board and built-in ironing board and things like that, with of course the plumbing and the um, equipment to do laundry, would that, even with this current size of about 100 square foot, would that address the board's concerns?
I think, and I don't
Take a,
go ahead, Daryl.
I was gonna say, take a stab at that.
So I think
We
we both
often
want to do the
refer
same
to the
thing.
slippery slope. So, it kind of sounds reasonable. I understand what you're trying to get at, but we again have to, yes, we have a room here in my second floor that we set up to be doing laundry, but it's a small room. So, but the plumbing is there. It's a closet right now. It's not that hard to tap off a pipe and patch the wall and have that disappear from view. So, it's not that hard to convert things. It's an effort, but not impossible. If there was a fixed closet that ate into the room area more than that narrow one, but I don't know if you're limited by where that window is and needing wall space for the others. Again, not our job to design, just trying to explain to you what might work and make us more comfortable, is to have a much bigger storage closet, not something that's marginal along the wall that would use up some of that floor space and get it possibly to 70 for the open area. That would make me feel better, I think, about this.
And I will second Daryl, which is this is a this is a slippery slope, and we've seen the iterations of these decisions that come down months and years later. And so I completely understand the desire to have the laundry space. I agree with your wife, but it's tricky. I think the fact that you have the utilities present, the plumbing, the vent for the dryer, the cabinetry, absolutely makes conversion of that to a bedroom or room much harder. But as Daryl said, that's not impossible. And at the end of the day, right now, we are trying to make sure that this does not look like a bedroom, and in fact, not count this as a room, because under state law, we have to keep this house to 9 rooms. And so that's one of the reasons we're pushing the square footage here as well. So for me, it's kind of tricky because I absolutely understand it's unlikely that someone is going to go in and do that, but then to look at that space and say that it is not a room that we will count in the room count is a little bit tricky. How about we go to other board members just to get their sense and ideas? Do we have, Steve, I can't remember if you had additional comments, and Rebecca?
Yeah, I talked about where that green rectangle is, maybe pushing that wall over, but that's not going to be enough space. The only other thought I had is, so right where the door closes on that wall for the hallway, for the laundry room, I mean, what if you push that up and then in the hallway, maybe you turn that into a bookcase or something like that? I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out a way you can take room away from the laundry room, give it to another room. Again, sorry, I know we're not here to design stuff, but just trying to come up with something out of the box.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is 70 square feet. That's what you guys were saying there now. Yeah, we could easily move a window here. That's not a big deal. We could move the wall if that's what Quadro preferred, like this version, make it smaller laundry. But it sounds like what you guys are saying, if this room becomes a 70 square foot room, it would be acceptable, right?
I think I heard a 70
Or,
square foot
or
open
an inch
space,
less
right?
than
Yeah.
Yeah,
70
less
square
than.
feet.
Less than.
An inch less than. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
And
just to
you're right,
clarify,
Quadro.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
just to
Please go ahead.
clarify, I did also hear a room where the cabinetry and equipment and everything leaves an open space of 70 square foot or lower. Did I get that right? Or am I wishfully thinking?
I did say that. Let's just verify with Mark. So Mark, when they're looking at in the housing code, the 70 square feet, I assume that does not include a closet, but I could be wrong on that.
It does not include a closet, but it is,
Okay.
I believe we've always said less than 70 square feet. So it could be 69.9 square feet, but it is less than
Yep.
70. If I went to do a housing code and there was 70 square feet of available space, that would allow for one occupant to use that room as a bedroom,
Yeah. Okay.
if that
So-
helps.
You know, the other thing is putting in storage that was more like a wall than cabinetry attached to a wall. I don't know. I might be open to other things, and we haven't really
Well, yeah, that's
considered
what.
But if it was not looking like furniture that was temporary, that would establish something that would help establish the 70 feet, and maybe additional storage would be handy, perhaps.
Okay.
And perhaps there is
But these are things that you need to work through and decide, like what you want to come back to us with. Now that you know what we have to do to look at it and make the determination. And then, of course, the most expensive option, but would give you a lot more flexibility for all sorts of things, would be to find out. Mark, this is a 2-acre lot, roughly, if I remember.
I have the plan with me. I believe it is.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
Okay, because land-wise, you have enough land to, expand your septic system. I don't know what the conditions are there. I know roughly what they are, but I don't remember the details as to whether you could just expand your system a little bit. And then you could do whatever you want. that room.
Yeah, but I do stand corrected. This lot is 40,000 square feet, so it only can allow, excuse me, up to 4 bedrooms.
Okay, sorry. All right, then you are limited.
And perhaps the first and second concept can be merged. So we started with a very, very small laundry closet, and then we've gone to a whole room. Perhaps you could have a more generous laundry closet in what is currently labeled as the laundry room with double doors that can open that space up into the landing area. I mean, again, these are all for you guys to consider. But certainly, I think you've gotten a sense of the two scenarios, but do any other board members have concerns about the parameters that we've outlined here? Because we just want to make sure we give you guys all the information you need to be able to go back and make a decision.
And I would say 3 scenarios. Say, there were 3 rearrangements of that.
Yeah.
The former plan.
If I may, I want to stand corrected. See, I wasn't involved with these lots, but what happened, it originally came in as 40,000 square feet, but it was brought back into the board and approved with a leg on it almost in the back. So it's now 2.02 acres. So I do stand corrected.
Okay.
The most recent plan was changed to add more acreage, just so the board
Yeah,
knows.
I thought they got bigger at some point, but I wasn't positive.
And
Sorry.
Okay, so that's
and this is
so
2 acres,
something
so I know it's
changing
just
the
noted
laundry
twice.
room as shown now, something changing the hall configuration, the other 3 methods, and then expanding the septic system, which would mean talking to an engineer to see if they may be able to just add on enough to give you the flexibility to do anything within, let's say, 1 more bedroom worth on the septic would allow you to have 11 rooms in the house.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the
you.
process of redesigning this septic would take us a couple of months, which is, 2 to 3 months at least, by the time we redesign and it goes through back to the board and all of that, get approval, it could take quite a bit of time. So I'm not sure if that's what Quadro would want to do, but
Right,
Yeah.
I could understand that. I will say, given that there is a plan and there was soil testing done there,
right.
I can't say for certain, can't memorize all the plans that we see, but someone may be able to say, oh yes, this could be extended another 5 feet in some direction.
Yeah, our engineer mentioned that, like he at some point, like he said that we could go for a 5-bedroom, but since when when he acquired the land, it was already pre-approved for 4-bedroom. We kind of wanted to stick with that plan, but I appreciate that. Yeah, that's really good to know, like that we have that option. But yeah, so like let me ask you this. So like what's the process from now on? Like let's say I discuss with Quadro tomorrow or the next day or so, like, and then we decide one of these 3 options that we had, 70 square feet or less. I mean, less than 70 square feet laundry room on the corner, or shifting the other parts, like option 1 or 2 in the front. Do we have a building permit that it's right now is just waiting on this decision? That's the only thing that's holding us up. And we need to, I would like to get foundation or excavation, like, if possible, with weather permitting, like going, if and these are all interior layouts questions that we need to solve it. So what's the process moving forward? How long would it take? Do I need to wait until the next board meeting goes on, or does, like, once I submit a plan and Mark sees it and he would approve? I mean, how would that look like?
Mark, do you want to answer that?
Sure, I can help first with the fact that as of yesterday, I'm still trying to get the state form for the well drill report and have not received it. So we'll keep that on the agenda, that if I get that and if the board agrees to a plan, then sometimes the board will let me pass it by the co-chairs if they so vote on such a plan tonight. If not, and there's been many cases where the board wants to see the plans redesigned and resubmitted to them, but those are the two options that I've seen in the past. And correct me if I'm wrong, any of the board members.
Yeah, we could set conditions. For example, if the laundry room came in just under 70 feet, we could authorize Mark, as a board, if that's what we decided collectively, we could authorize him to then approve it when it came through, reflecting that.
Right.
And then, some of the other specifications with how wide is the opening into that area with the first revision that we saw.
The closet option, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a possibility. And Sarah, can you remind me when the next meeting is?
The 21st of January.
Okay. So otherwise, if there's anything that was complicated that you came up with an idea that we have not discussed, then that gets a little trickier for Mark to approve it because there's been so much deliberation around this.
Right, that makes sense.
So then we would be able to do it then at that next meeting. And you certainly always keep talking to Mark as you're going along and coming up with ideas, because he can get a sense from all the decisions he's listened to over the years about what is likely to be acceptable.
Yeah. This has been very helpful. Very, very helpful. Thanks to the board for your input on this.
It's
and we know it's not something, if you haven't lived in a place with the septic system before, it is tricky.
I'm coming.
Husband and I encountered the same thing when we moved in. It came up with house plans, but
I'm coming here from the
was,
Chicago area, so
yeah.
septic is not a thing I was ever used to. So
yeah, it's so it sounds like you might want us to actually have a motion this evening, and that that could be to authorize our agent to approve the building permit if what is presented is consistent with any of the three scenarios or criteria that we outlined this evening.
Yeah.
Alternatively, we could also motion that if the board chooses, they could authorize two members of the board, typically it's the co-chairs, to review the plans in conjunction with our agent. And if it is consistent with what has been discussed here this evening, then that can be moved through. Would you want us to make one of those motions in anticipation that you'd want to move forward before the 21st?
I would say yes if I'm being asked. But
yes, I'm absolutely asking you as the owner, and Deleandro as the builder. I don't know what your timelines are. Sure.
So you're the owner, so you decide what do I. I'll do whatever you want.
Yeah, I would say yes.
Sure. So okay, so crafting motion, this is a fairly complex motion, but I'm going to give it a go, and then board members' friendly amendments will be welcome. So I move to authorize the agent in conjunction with co-chairs Beardley and Dreyfus to review the alternative building or floor plans for the building application, and if they are consistent with the criteria outlined in our discussion this evening, that they will be or approved on the building application. Friendly amendments. What did I miss?
Can't think of anything to add.
Okay.
Other than our, yeah, okay.
Should we amend the motion to clearly list the criteria we are looking for?
I would say I would pose that to the people not, to the non-co-chairs for their
Yeah.
comfort level if they want to specify.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, Steve, Rebecca, and Diana, would you like us to have a very detailed outline as to what we are assessing, or is the general conversation adequate for you?
I think the general conversation is fine. Again, it's whatever gets presented. Julie, yourself, and Daryl will take a look at that and make sure it's consistent with what we talked about, correct?
Yes, in conjunction with Mark. Yep.
Right. Sorry, Mark. Yeah.
I would
So, yeah, I
be
think it's-
fine with that because I think with some of the criteria, the architect and owner may come up with some variation that's kind of there's there's an allowance for creativity, a modification of version of versions 1 and 2 that could come up that could well meet approval because the only one that I hear or that I think we really have specific criteria on is the laundry room being less than the 70 square feet. The others, there's I see the possibility of adjustment. And I would like to give the co-chairs the flexibility to approve some alternative to that.
Rebecca.
I think that it's fine. I mean, I personally think that because it's complicated, I mean, it's not complicated, it could be controversial. There's a value to outlining the discussion and the justification for the decisions, but I also, think that it's fine if there's the ability to resolve the case
Mhm.
without having to come back to the next meeting. So,
Okay, and then the other thing I'll just ask, especially in light of your comment, Rebecca, let's say something comes in, it is creative and different than what we've discussed here this evening. Would the board be open to, I'll call it a special meeting that we find and hopefully only requires 15 minutes of time or something like that to go over just to confirm, or do you feel that's not necessary?
I don't think it's an emergency.
Yeah.
So I
No, it
think
wouldn't
that
be.
I think
It
it's
would still
great.
have,
There is an emergency to have a emergency meeting, but I wouldn't use it for something like this. This is controversial, so I think that we should follow proper process. So if you can't
I
resolve it,
wasn't saying
bring
an
it up at the next
emergency as
meeting.
in a special meeting. That's different. We still have to post 2 days in advance. Emergency is you have to do it without the 48 hours notice to anybody.
Right, but then we would be having meetings every 3 days because somebody wants something done, and what I feel like is if we can't resolve it after we've gone to this degree of gymnastics, when it's kind of really bending the rules, I think that it's probably more appropriate if you're not able to resolve it based on our conversation to have it come back to the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to concur with Rebecca on that. I think it's setting up a difficult precedent to have a separate meeting. I agree with Rebecca.
I agree too. Just wanted to make the offer.
All right, so I think we are not specifying the exact criteria in a list just because we want to make sure that the spirit of the conversation is honored. So I have a motion on the table, which I don't think I could repeat at this point. I do not hear any friendly amendments to that motion. And so is there anyone willing to second the motion?
Second,
Further discussion? Hearing none.
Carol Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Becca Honeywell, aye.
Excellent. So DeLeandro and Quadrio, we welcome your revision, and that will be reviewed by the agent and Daryl and myself. And if it's consistent with this conversation, we'll be able to move forward with your approval. And if there are any questions or concerns that we feel that need to come back to the board, we'll have to put you on the agenda on the 21st.
And as noted, don't forget about that water report. I'm trying to get it. Maybe the owner and the developer, contractor can put a little weight on that to get that to our office.
Yeah, I'll give him a call. I didn't know that you were still waiting on that, Mark.
Yeah, I sent an
I
email
put a
out.
request,
That's fine.
put a request last week, and they said they were going to send it to you. So I'll follow up on that. Thanks for letting me know.
You're welcome. I sent an email out yesterday. I thought I had you in it, but again, I know we all get a lot of emails. But yes, if you can put a little pressure on them, that would be helpful for me. I can't demand it, but you can.
Right.
Yep. Thank you.
We'll do that. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks to the board.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank
Bye.
you, guys.
Yep.
Thank you
Good
so much.
night.
Good night to everyone.
Good
night.
night.
Good
Bye
night.
bye.
Okay, we got that right now. Why don't we finish out agent's business? Mark, I don't
I
think you were anticipating an owner for 155
Yes,
Maple.
and I
Right.
don't know if Julie is here, the owner. We've been playing a little email tag tonight and trying to. She
Yes, I'm
said,
here.
"Oh, good, Julie. So you were able to get on the agenda." She was having trouble with the link we had on our agenda, but I'm glad to see you here. And I'll be presenting to the board the status of your review. And I just want to let the board know you're here if they have any questions for you.
Hang on,
Or
Mark,
you
before you
can-
go forward to the to Julie, the homeowner, because we just want to make sure you're captured accurately in the minutes, and Zoom will show your name as Zoom user. If you can either identify yourself now verbally or alter your username, that would help us so we can have accuracy.
Yeah, hi, my name is Julie Moran, 155 Maple Street.
Great. Thank you so much, Julie.
Thank you, Julie.
Go ahead, Mark.
So Julie and I have been in conversation over the past 6 months or so. What happened was conservation was reviewing 155 Maple Street for another situation. And in their questions to us, we found out the property was sold in May of 2024. And we couldn't find a Title V inspection report. So Julie had bought the property, but the Title V was not completed during the sale. So we were discussing that with Julie, and she did have that done, and it was done last month in December, and the Title V report did fail. So I did ask Julie to note that she's aware of the fact it failed, and she did. She responded to an email I sent out late December. So and what it said in that email is that because it failed, that they would have till May of this year, 2026, to complete the repair. And I have updated the board in the past on this property, and it appears, and Julie, you can add in afterwards, appears they want to work with us. My suggestion would be, so they can meet that deadline, is to apply for soil testing and have a soil evaluator apply for that. And so we can get the soil testing done, I would ask probably in March. And then once that soil testing is completed, they can design a septic plan that replaces the existing septic system. That may take us up through May, but it would be a good schedule to follow. And I would recommend that to the board as your vote. And if any unusual consequences occur, such as we got monsoons or something, and soil testing couldn't be done, say in March, then it would come back to the board. But my requested schedule to the board is soil testing be completed by March and septic system be designed in April and installed in May, approved and installed in May. I don't know how the owner feels about that schedule, but that would allow them to meet the 2-year requirement, which is a state requirement, because it is a conventional system to have the septic system installed and replaced by the end of May of this year.
Julie, would you like to speak up about your thoughts or concerns about that idea?
Yeah. Um, my husband wanna know if you can give us like a 1 or 2 months ahead, because we didn't know you need to do when you buy the house, because they don't told it us. And about my situation, my job, I'm always not here. So probably May, I think. The end of the May, I came back to Massachusetts.
The soil testing could be done before that, though, and that's
Yes, the
critical
soil
to,
test, yes, but the problem, we contact some people about to do the new septic,
okay,
and they schedule's full already, and they say they will reach me out like next week to know if
okay,
they can do for me in May or June, they say.
okay, and that's for the installation of the septic system, really?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you're working with us. I would express that to the board as I have just done. And I wouldn't have a problem with the soil testing, it's based on your needs, that the soil testing be completed by the beginning of May and that the septic system be designed and installed between May and June.
Okay, thank you.
But that's up to the board. I'm just
Oh, okay.
suggesting that because this doesn't meet state code, what I suggested, but the board does have some leverage to work with. I think it's a matter of you showing good faith effort, and if the soil testing are completed by the end of April, let's say, the end of April, and the
Oh, okay.
plans. So the soil testing is the only part that you go out with a backhoe and the soil evaluator, and they dig 3 deep holes, or they try to in 2 perks. That could be done from now to the end of April. And then the person doing the soil testing typically designs the septic plan, and that can take a month or so. And then it has to be approved by the board. And then as long as the commitment is to have that septic system replaced but with a new replacement septic system by the end of June, I think that would show good faith effort that the soil testing was done by the end of April and the septic system was installed by the end of June. It's a little bit, as you asked for the 2 months, it's a little bit off the requirement, but it's up to the board. I would ask the board to consider. Is that what you're looking for, Julie?
Yeah, I sent everything to, I don't know if you guys know Eric Dixon. He's an
Yeah, no,
engineer to do the cell.
yeah, he works with us, so
Oh, yeah, yeah.
yeah, no, as long as, and he can get out there. We typically don't like to go out in winter months, but by March, they're out there doing quite a bit of soil testing.
Okay, I'll tell him.
Okay, but
Thank you.
I'll leave it up to, you're welcome. I'll leave it up to the board at this time.
That was
Okay.
going to be my first question, is if you had contacted an engineer and have retained an engineer for their services. It sounds like you have retained Mr. Dickinson, or you have just reached out to him. Julie, if you could let us know, are you under contract with Mr. Dickinson?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, excellent. That's the first critical step. Um, so I hear what you're saying, Mark, about kind of setting benchmarks to show progress. And while there could very much be variables, whether they be just weather or other weather-related time delays, the goal would be to have installation complete by May. I think that if we are setting out the goal that soil testing be completed by the end of March, I think, again, it depends on what the site conditions are. Certainly, some systems are far more complicated to design relative to the dwelling. If that soil testing is conducted by the end of March, that ideally the engineer is able to have a design to us within roughly a month. I would say, yeah, and certainly installation happening earlier in the season would make a big difference in the timeline of when it's actually put in versus if you're trying to get on an installer's schedule in the middle of summertime, you're going to be waiting well into the fall before you actually have your system installed. And that's the timeline we're trying to rush because you get compounded delays. So I would agree, Mark, let's set these benchmarks, and as long as we see good faith progress by the owner, I would be comfortable in making that extension. beyond the end of May if necessary. Rest of the board members, what are your thoughts?
I agree with that. And I think aiming for testing in March, although you never know what's going to happen with the weather, but aiming for that would be good because things just get busier as we move into April. And since this is a replacement, that testing then is possible.
Mark, I just had a question on, take out the dependency of the soil testing. Will most septic installers allow you to book before you have a septic plan, or do they need to have a septic plan?
For the bidding purposes, all of them have required that they have a approved septic plan available. But you know, that just so they know how to bid on it. So,
Right.
but that could
I'm
be
just thinking of a
done.
placeholder.
Yeah. If you got an engineer that is working with you, they usually, after the soil testing, can start the process of getting the plan design within 2 weeks, you know, and they can give the applicant an idea of what that septic plan will look like right after the testing is completed, the soil testing, that is. So that could all work within the schedule that was just noted, you know, the soil testing by March and the system installed by the end of May. And if can't, you know, if there's some issues with the timing and the benchmarks, then it would come back to the board for further discussion.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just thinking of putting in a placeholder, like
Sure.
pretty much immediately with the septic installer without having the plan, just to.
It sounds like Eric has connections, and most engineers do, with certain installers. So I would suggest to Julie that she call Eric back and say, you know, this is what the board decided. Can you find an installer? Or usually they issue their plans to 3 installers to bid for. And, you know, that's something that Julie could ask Eric to do for her. If that answers the question, Steve, I hope it does.
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay.
Again, trying to accelerate it, trying to make sure that we get something by May.
Yep. Julie, do you understand what we're saying on that, how it works?
Yes, definitely. So we'll do everything you guys wanted, and I'm sorry I didn't know about this. And I talk to Eric tomorrow and tell
Okay.
him to do exactly what you guys say.
Okay, and you can have him call us too, but I do have to
Sure.
wait for the board's vote, and then I can have Eric call us and I can go over the board's decision once they make it today.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other board members, the general timeline and benchmarks set forth. Any concerns?
No, I'm fine with that, but it is critical that something be done, ideally March, not too much later, just to get it going.
Rebecca?
I don't have anything more to add.
Sure. Daryl, I can't remember if you commented. I'm sorry. Have you commented on the timeline that
Yeah,
Marcus laid
I
out?
did.
Okay, my apologies. I should be. We've had a lot of back and forth. All right. Mark, you're looking for a motion from the board, is that correct?
Yes, and the way I understand it, soil testing to be completed by March 2026, septic system installed by the end of May 2026. And if anything varies from that, it would need to come back to the Board of Health for further review, if
Okay.
that was the way I understood it.
Excellent. Okay. Do I have a motion to require, in compliance with State Title V, that soil testing be completed for 155 Maple no later than the end of March 2026, and that the installation of the resulting septic system be installed by the end of May 2026 for this property?
So moved.
Seconded. I
Discussion
have
or
a little-
friendly? Yeah, friendly amendments. Go ahead, Gerald.
Oh, no, I have just a little extra discussion.
Extra discussion.
Just so Julie knows that, you know, if there's something extraordinary, like blizzards all through March or something, we can revisit this because as Mark said, you're making a good faith effort. but we're just trying to keep it on track.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Keith Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie, for your time. And please continue to stay in touch with Mark. He will be happy to assist you in this process.
And let Eric know I'll be in tomorrow morning. He's more than welcome to call me.
Sure.
Julie,
I tell him, call you tomorrow
Okay.
morning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah,
Good
thanks
night.
for working with
Yeah,
us.
good
Thank
night.
you. Good night.
Okay. Excellent. Shall we go on to the permits, or do we want to do the public health nurse update and then move on to permits? Let's do the public health nurse updates. I think Sarah is updating us, or is it Daryl, or is it who is going to provide that to us?
That was me.
Do you need a second?
Me.
Oh, sorry, Daryl.
Oh, no, I was saying it's not me. It must be your update.
Yes, so Gail had mentioned our public health nurse that she would be sending me an update to share with the board, following our most recent discussion last week, but she hasn't sent me anything in particular. There's just a lot of conversations right now around flu.
If I just a point of order, Sarah, and sorry to interrupt. Your audio is not coming out on my computer, but I don't know if it's happening to everyone.
I can't understand you either.
Your audio sounds like you're on the other side of the room, Sarah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you
That's
go.
better.
There you go.
Sorry, I guess I was talking kind of quiet. I was just saying that Gail had told me she would be sending me an update about the flu and different rates in Sherborn to share with the board this week. She just has not gotten around to sending me that report yet. But there is a lot of conversation really just around the high rates of flu going on right now, and just urging everyone to be extra cautious, make sure you're getting vaccinated. And we've put out some communications through Charles River. They've sent us things to share, which have been shared on our website, Facebook, and Nextdoor page. And I believe that is all she would want to say. That was essentially our most
What is
recent
her
conversation.
method of collecting the data? Just curious.
We
Is it-
use Maven, the
So is it
Massachusetts.
self-reporting coming from, from her Sherborn, it's the hospitalizations or self-reporting, or how is it collected? How do you quantify the cases in Sherborn? Question.
Through the Massachusetts Viral and Epidemiology Network, or MAVEN, which is a statewide program that every Board of Health uses and every health department uses. And there are only cases of hospitalized cases or cases that have tested positive at the doctor.
Yeah.
There's also the respiratory virus dashboard through the MDPH, which has more information. It is not town by town, but it is for the entire state, which is currently linked on our website as well.
So Rebecca, you're thinking all the home antigen tests that are not being captured.
Yeah, I'm sure we're missing a lot of cases.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, if anyone has any thoughts about that. Obviously, those are documented, and so, there is a long differential diagnosis for an upper respiratory infection, so it's hard to know if it's flu. So there's more specificity if it's confirmed by a viral test or a hospitalization. But I'm just curious about that, what you think, or if the nurse or any other board members have any comments.
I think it's out of our hands to get that data, right?
Yeah.
We've certainly saw that with COVID too. Once the tests came out, then the wastewater data was the most reliable thing to indicate kind of levels in the communities. So,
Man,
I don't know.
Someone just wrote a grant. It's you've heard of crowdsourcing for data like this. It would be amazing to have a grant to work on that in a small community. It seems like a perfect test case. I'm not writing that. But
I would say
yeah.
sorry.
No. I was just going to say because I too would love to know, and I think I completely agree with you, Rebecca. I think in many cases the confoundance of any of the adenoviruses and RSV, which we certainly will see increased, it's hard to parse that out in any type of home test or just people who are battling it out at home.
And norovirus,
Mhm.
it's all confusing. I just took note that the hospital system that my doctor is part of emailed saying, by the way, expect to see staff wearing masks, and we suggest, not required, but suggest that you wear a mask when you come in for appointments. So that to me was enough of a sign.
Yeah.
That it's prevalent at the moment.
And I think that is the critical message to folks is that upper respiratory viruses, particularly flu, are peaking right now at levels higher than typical. And take precautions, use good hand hygiene, and if you are particularly concerned, consider masking in areas where there are lots of other people. Okay, thank you, Sarah. Now
We have a lot of public here this evening, but I'll say
no.
I did not know until I read up on norovirus that hand sanitizer doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
That
I've
you
actually
need
heard
to
that.
use soap and standard hand washing methods,
Mhm.
and that it's highly communicable that way by hand.
I feel like that's something a school nurse would be able to educate us all on.
Those respiratory droplets. So that's the problem.
Yep.
Anyway.
Okay. Well, hopefully the peak ends and we start to see decline. However, it is January 7th, so I'm not going to hold out that much hope. All right, why don't we move down the agenda just in order at this point? So why don't we go to our disposal works installer permits? All of these are renewals. Mark, we have 3 on the agenda, DL Atkinson, Curtis Septic, and Colin Mayo Excavating. Do we have any concerns or conditions for any of these renewals?
I would just ask, and I know you asked at the beginning of the meeting, I know we received one today. There it is, Lutazi, which didn't make the agenda, but I would recommend if you want to include Lutazi, Phil Lutazi, that they all be approved. They all are in good standings, and I would recommend approval of all 4 if we can approve the 4th one, which is Lutazi. With the one you're looking at.
I'm sorry. Did someone attempt to update when we were amending the agenda? Did I completely miss that?
Yeah, I missed it because I thought it was added, but it was today, so it was last minute. I should have noted to the board that that's the newer business for the agenda. He's not, if you don't want to take it, that's okay. He came in today, so he would understand if it waits till the next meeting, but
2 weeks.
This one came in yesterday, and we
yesterday, okay.
know about it.
Okay.
And they do not have any installations scheduled between now and the 21st.
They do not, no.
Okay. I guess as a point of process, we make amendments to the agenda at the start of the meeting.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I would call into question amending an agenda in the middle of a meeting, particularly if it is not particularly time sensitive, where we will absolutely put them on for the 21st. That's my inclination, Daryl. As the other chair, what do you think?
I have mixed feelings. I don't see it as hugely problematic if we voted on that now. However, to change from the process of stating things at the beginning, I think, is yet another slippery slope that we could go down. And so
I would recommend it be on the next
if
agenda.
it was more urgent, I would say it's kind of a more administrative, perfunctory type of task than some others, but I think it's okay to wait.
Yeah, there's no urgency on it either, so I think out of protocol, it would be best to put this on the next agenda, but that'll be up to the board.
Yeah, I think that's what we should do. I think that is a slippery slope. All right, so we will proceed with the agenda as originally amended and posted at the beginning of the meeting. So for
And I
the
recommend approval of all three noted on the agenda.
any conditions or concerns for any three that we need
We
to know?
always suggest the condition be that they conduct a pre-construction conference prior to septic system installation.
Okay. And we can take all three together in one motion, right?
I think so.
Do I have a motion to approve the disposal works installer permit renewal for the 2026 year, or the year of 2026, conditional to pre-construction conferences prior to the installations for D.L. Atkinson Incorporated of Needham, Curtis Septic Service of Northborough, Colin Mayo Excavating Incorporated of Ashland.
So moved. Seconded.
Any discussion? Hearing none.
Carol Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Excellent. Let's move on to our food establishment permit applications. I want to parse out here the K Brothers Incorporated doing business as C&L Frosties. That is both under the food establishment permit as well as the application to sell frozen desserts, both in cooperation with the owner of the business and the property owner. Those will be deferred to the meeting, our next meeting on the 21st. So we will not be including those this evening. There's some further information that is needed before we can proceed. Any questions on that? All right. In which case, for that will remove the frozen desserts portion of this. We will not be having a motion on that. So Mark, for the other food establishment permits, anything of concern that we need to note?
No,
That
and
you or over Sarah?
I would refer to Sarah and Tom, but the water reports have shown sodium levels, as you can see on the agenda, that they would need to post sodium they would need to have sodium postings. I think all except for all fresh, they were at 10.7, but the others were all above the 20. So that would be my note.
And is it just as a logistic, my understanding is that the sodium levels are stated on the permit, and it is the permit that is posted at the place of business. Is that correct?
In most cases, I know years back, some people would just make a separate note of the sodium level and post it on their front doors. I remember a church doing that, as well as the previous known places, Sherborn Inn. So they could do it one way or the other. They do have to post their permit, so it'd be easier just to do it that way. But some people put a separate note on the doors, so they can do it either way, I think, and still meet the requirement of posting the sodium.
Tom Trainer, you have a question or a comment about that?
I have a related quick question. Thank you. I hope I can ask. Besides sodium, other primary contaminants that are above state and federal guidelines, do you handle similarly to sodium, or how do you?
Do you mean
Mark?
if a drinking water quality parameter was exceeded? They'd have to address it.
Most
For
of these
treatment.
sites are on public wells where the PFAS is above current guidelines. So I'm just wondering why it's just sodium you worry about.
There, as
So
noted,
guidelines
Tom.
versus
Yep, go ahead.
standards.
I'm sorry, say again, Daryl.
So the levels are above the guidelines versus above current standard?
Many of the public wells are above 20 parts per trillion of mass PFAS 6.
Okay.
And right now the town hall is under DEP shut down that well. So I'm just wondering, for a food permit, are you not concerned about PFAS levels?
Interesting thing. I would have assumed it would be addressed by DEP. We just have a different level than the state on sodium, I believe.
Can I make a comment?
Yes, and I just also want Tom to clarify I guess we don't have it up here. If we go back to the agenda, I want to clarify that the restaurants here that are clearly PWSs, that Tom, you're confirming that the latest, I know it's usually in the fourth quarter, the latest reports show PFAS in excess of the 20 parts per trillion.
For
Is that what you're
some,
commenting on?
for some of them, correct.
Okay. Go ahead, Rebecca.
I was just going to say that it's difficult because there are some who hesitate to express concern on things that aren't regulated at the federal level. I personally think that we should perhaps be more concerned or be doing a little bit more community outreach for people, just to inform just to increase awareness of the risks that exist, even though they're not there. This falls in the, as you know, because you know very much about this subject, that these are technically emerging contaminants, so therefore they're not regulated, which to me may not necessarily mean we shouldn't be expressing concern. And I'm not really sure what the best way to approach that is.
Well, they're regulated by the state.
Yeah.
Right. And because it's private water supply, it's our responsibility to.
They're public water supplies in many cases.
Right. That's true. But it's still our responsibility. We have the jurisdiction to enforce the regulations and to educate and promote good practices. So I agree with you.
And if I can add, I just drew up what the food establishments receive, and they're required to test for total coliform, total bacteria, ammonia, nitrogen, nitrate, nitrogen, nitrite, nitrogen, sodium, and pH, and VOCs. But we do not require them to test PFAS at this point. But as Tom noted, they do test if they're a public water supply. The board would probably need to revisit the requirements for laboratory tests for food establishments if we want to consider PFAS. But presently, if they're, say, a home that's doing like a home kitchen, they're only required to test for what I just noted. And the VOCs is every 5 years. And that's on a document that was approved by the board. And the board would probably, and you can put it on a future agenda, but could address this. I'm not saying to ignore it. I'm just saying if they're a public water supply that is being checked under the public water supply requirements.
Actually, thank you, Mark. That answers my question. So your local board has a subset of
Yes.
parameters that you look for. Okay, that answers my question. Thanks.
Thank
Although
you.
it does beg the question of whether, well, one, whether we would ask for what we look for just for when a well is installed, or something in between what we have now for food establishments and a more comprehensive list, which does include PFAS, but maybe there are some things that we, for whatever reason, might feel would not be important. And then the next level of question would be, given that a lot of these establishments are PWSs, I guess posting is informational and educational for
But
any
I think that
patron
it's
of the
important.
establishments, but how do we merge with what the PWSs are? We would need to find out what DEP is doing about enforcement, about levels of PFAS. And so right now in town hall, alternative water supplies have been provided. So the question is that already happening or not? And then we would also have to find time to have a public hearing to write up what the changes would be, get ready for a public hearing, deliberate on that leading up to a public hearing, and then enacting a change.
But maybe
Rebecca,
we
if you're
should,
interested in working
yeah.
on that, it sounds like
Yeah,
this
because
is
I mean,
something
I
that would
personally
appeal
think
to
that
you.
every homeowner matters as much as somebody who's regulated. And I think the biggest problem is a lack of awareness and understanding of the potential risks, but we have a lot of evidence for concern. And because we know that these things matter, I think the most important thing we should do is to increase awareness, and maybe be a little bit more vigilant in our own regulations for our private well regulations. But that everybody knows that's my personal opinion.
I don't think that opinion is something, I'll phrase it in the positive. I think that opinion is shared by all the board members based on all the things that we've worked on over the years, and that we did update. We do include PFAS in our regulations and all sorts of tests and stringent requirements for water quality, as has been challenged at times.
Yeah.
That we're too stringent. But so I think we're all there. The question is, on this issue of food establishments, how do we want to get involved? We notify about sodium, because again, people for sodium restricted diets, but the PFAS thing is new. And we don't know if all of the restaurants, for example, that are getting their water from a well that has PFAS over the current standard, have they put in treatment or sought an alternative water supply or not? And therefore, is it up to us? I find it hard to believe that the state wouldn't be addressing that.
No, that is interesting, Daryl.
I kind of think Mass DEP would be having some kind of requirement, because even businesses that have their own private wells that qualify as a PWS have to post to notify their employees about the quality of the water. And they have to provide alternative water if that water is not meeting the state standards. So it may not be on our permit, so would it be redundant, or would it be a good thing to reinforce? Well, maybe that's where we are, but we need more research on that. Well, I don't know the answer to that.
Sorry, when you're done, I want to say something.
I'm done.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt you. I think we know that the biggest problem is that the laws are antiquated and private wells are considered to be private property. However, there's an excuse to enforce or create and enforce regulations when there's a potential risk to a public or otherwise regulated transient, semi-public, or all the different terms that have been used over the years, water supply. However, I think that there are communities in the state, and yes, we could argue that those are regulated communities because they're not private wells, but many of those do have private water supplies in them. So those communities do have what are called system of notification. So they publish the reports so the residents are aware, and then each individual can make their own decision. I suggested a couple of years ago that maybe Sherborn needs to have some sort of system of notification. It would create more work for either the board members or our administrators. Maybe that would be a challenge. Maybe that's exactly the kind of thing that we could apply for a state grant for to get administrative support. But I think it'd be a valuable thing because I'm not sure everybody is aware of the risks. And I do think that there is a perception that it's less important when laws don't exist. But I'm not sure it's less important. It's just harder to regulate. But because we have that jurisdiction, I feel like it would be valuable for us to consider creating some sort of a system to notify people, to increase awareness, to have a little bit more public outreach. I think that would all be valuable. And I think that the Groundwater Protection Committee, and particularly you, Mr. Trainer, I've been incredibly impressed. You've done some really great work. And I think that we are very appreciative, and maybe some of that information can be included. Because the Groundwater Protection Committee has done a lot of really good work recently, and it's very relevant for us. We just don't have state and federal support, and there's pushback from all sorts of different interests, but it doesn't mean that awareness wouldn't have a value. So I totally am enthusiastic about that. I'd be happy to get involved if you would like me to. So I think we should have a system of notification because we have 100% private water supplies. I'm sorry, I'm redundant, so I'll stop talking.
Well, and I have a question for Daryl. I think you had mentioned contacting DEP about because certainly in private businesses, there's a private business has to provide an alternate water supply if the water's contaminated. I'm curious as to how they handle that in other parts.
So what I've seen with my clients, because I've had to go and do the postings at times.
Mm-hmm.
So it was for a corporate campus and laboratories and other things. So that was not close enough to a municipal water supply. So depending on what their test results would be, if anything exceeded a drinking water standard, you had to immediately contact the state, immediately. And within a short time frame, depending on what the contaminant was, some things required a confirmatory sample, but often within 24 hours, you'd have to have a posting on all the entrances and other places that employees would be aware, or on the website. But on the doors was important, so people coming in, including visitors or whatever else, would be aware of what the condition it was for the water, and know that, you'd give special instructions. By the way, use the coolers or use the thermoses that are set out. Don't, drink tap water. I find it hard to believe they wouldn't require that for other establishments. I never worked for a restaurant, working for manufacturing. So, but they have cafeterias, so there is still some food service, but it's just a whole different setup. That's why I'm kind of wondering if they have to do it now already. And I haven't been in in any food establishment in quite a while in Sherborn, so I don't know where one might find the PFAS posting, if there is one, if they haven't added treatment, like a carbon filter system or something else. I don't know. I think it's a great question, because we could reinforce state level precautions or check on that on a local level when Tom's going in anyway to do inspections. Great question. Bring up. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, I have a question. Either Daryl, Mark, or Tom might know the answer to. For a majority of the restaurants here that we're going to approve food permits for, they're transient non-communities. What is the testing frequency for PFAS for transient non-communities? Non-community public water supplies.
I can
It
only,
depends.
yeah, I was just going to say if they are on.
It
public
depends
water
on what the
supply,
levels are that have been identified already. And even though, I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
So like for
there's
the
some
town camp,
bacteria is usually monthly.
yeah.
After that, it varies according to what the levels are historically that they've seen. And so they will adjust and try and tailor the regime of whether it's monthly testing, quarterly testing, semi-annual, annual, biannual, triennial. You know, that's
And
hard to predict.
I guess I'm thinking about the town well, which is a non-transient, non-community. I know
If
that
I
that's an
could,
average. Yes, could you
if
help
I
us,
could,
Tom?
if I
Because
could
I'm
comment,
wondering how
because
accurate these. Yeah.
I check the website once a month. Right now, the town has to, since they're out of compliance, test monthly. But a lot of the smaller public wells and businesses and churches, it's very infrequent, like maybe annually. It's very infrequent.
So, and just to give an example, a restaurant in town would be a transient non-community PWS. I have that correct. And
I
so,
think, I believe so. Yeah.
what we're saying is the frequency for any of the PFAS 6 would be probably once a year.
At most, some of them I think have only been tested maybe once since the regulations came out 3 or 4 years ago.
I think that they haven't gotten into a routine yet because it is one of the more expensive tests, for smaller entities, and not impossibly expensive, but right, their first round of testing, at least my impression, Tom, was it was exploratory at first. They required PWSs to test because they were trying to get a handle on what is the level of the issue in Massachusetts and how is it distributed. So that was the first big push, was just to get that, which is similar to what they did for perchlorate, decade or 2 decades ago when it first emerged as an issue. Everybody had a test at some point just to see where they were at.
And so again, thinking about the town well, which is it's the average, right? It's a running average. The staying under that 20 parts per trillion, which is what we're exceeding. I think it's a 3-month average or a 3 read average.
Yeah.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, Tom. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I guess what I'm also wondering is thinking about the transient nature of groundwater. If we're talking about for these TNCs that we're posting this based on one reading, I can see, and I'm not saying not to have reiteration and posting, but I can understand how a business owner would potentially take offense to that when they might say this just happened to be, a high month of which my my water was tested, but not that that's an excuse for not letting the public know. But yeah, I think I'd be very interested to understand how DEP, what the expectation is from DEP for follow-up and remediation or subsequent testing when it is in excess of the 20 PPT for the TNCs. I would love to know that. If you want to let us know, Tom, or we can look it up. But
I'm no expert on the regulations. That's why I asked the question here.
yeah. Oh, okay. Well,
The-
you are our highly qualified consultant. How about we put it that way?
I mean, I know, and ironically worked with a person who's now head of the Northeast region, Nero Mass DEP region, head of the water.
What is that person's name? I'm just
Program.
curious. Can you just tell us the name of that person? I'm curious.
Yeah, maybe. I was going to call her. I just know her from working with clients. You should look
be
it
very
up.
helpful.
I don't know.
Yeah, we can look it up. Sorry. I thought you might know it. You could share it as part of your comment. Sorry.
Anyway, so I'm sure someone could tell us at DEP what they're doing now.
That would be a very interesting follow-up.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Tom, for bringing this to our attention. It's a really thought-provoking question. All right. So then, Sarah, is there of the food establishment permits that we have listed on the agenda, were there any that Tom highlighted as concerns or requiring specific conditions beyond the sodium postings?
Not including seasonal frosting.
Nothing beyond the sodium postings.
Oh, right, but are you asking me to, because seasonal frosting is technically on the agenda, but you did say that we would be discussing
We're
it. I
deferring
wasn't sure.
that. No,
Okay.
we're deferring that. I'm sorry, not seasonal frosting.
Additional.
That's being deferred. Just is there any other information from Tom, from our food inspector, Tom Curran, that we need to be aware of before we approve these?
No,
That was, I'm sorry, I didn't say it more clearly. No, that's okay. I didn't say it very clearly. So then, Mark, when we've approved these in the past, we just say conditional to a sodium posting, obviously for those above the 20 milligrams a liter. But we don't specify if that is just on the permit or a separate posting, correct? Just want to make sure I get
That is, from my recollection, that is correct. But they
Okay.
got notified they need to post the sodium. How they go about posting it, like I said, I've seen notes on doors and other. That's pretty much what I've seen is they'll post a note on the front door in respect to the sodium.
Okay, so I'm going to parse these out based on the all but one that require the sodium posting, and then we'll have a separate motion for the one that does not require sodium posting. Is that okay? I'm trying to put them together. All right, do I have a motion to approve the food establishment permit applications for 2026, conditional to a sodium posting for Head Home Residential Kitchen, Sherborn Fuel Market, Jackson's Kitchen, Rustic Pizza, Dunkin', it's not Dunkin' Donuts, Dunkin', Pilgrim Church, and the Fireside Tavern of Sherborn.
So moved.
So, second.
I'm going to add a friendly amendment to my own motion, which is conditional to compliance with all applicable laws. Forgot to say that in there. Any further discussion? Hearing none.
Carol Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Excellent. And do I have a motion to approve the food establishment permit for 2026 for Al Fresco LLC, conditional to compliance with all applicable laws?
So moved.
Seconded.
Hearing no further discussion.
Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Excellent. I believe that is everything under the food permits. Anyone correct me if I missed it? Recognizing our two deferments. All right. That leaves us with a review of the meeting minutes from December 17th. I believe Diane and I submitted some what I would call really minor, non-substantive edits. And I
Yeah.
believe Sarah had sent those out earlier today.
Mhm.
Did you receive additional edits later today, Sarah?
I
Daryl, you sent some in?
Yeah, I sent them in.
Were they substantive where we should review them now, or are they just more or
I
less
didn't think
grammatical?
they were substantive. They were like a little word rearranging, clarification. I can't think of anything that was substantive, but I doubt that you had time to look at it yet, Sarah, so because I sent it in quite late.
Yeah, I have not had a chance to look at them yet.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that the goal is if the content significantly changes so that the meaning and the language that's captured is being completely changed, then we want to make sure we outline that before we approve it.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's not what you did. It was because I had the same kind of rearrange these words.
That's not what I felt I was doing, so, but I'll
Okay.
leave it to Sarah to highlight. If it looks that way, call me, Sarah, and I'll see if I can let go of any of the edits.
Okay.
You and Julie actually have identical edits.
Wow.
Oh,
Like
What
to
does that
the
tell us,
to the
Daryl?
T, you have identical edits.
That's really hysterical.
Oh,
Okay.
wait. Maybe not. This could fully ignore me. I don't know. Hold on. Daryl, did you edit on the document that I sent
yeah,
after the fact?
I thought that would be easier, so
Got
I
it.
did that.
Okay. Never mind then. The reason that your edits looked identical was because
Okay.
they were just Julie's. I'm them down.
I hate to put you on the spot like that.
That's okay. To look at them.
So, board members, do you want Sarah to pull those up, or do people feel comfortable with the assessment of the editors that these were just grammatical tweaks? Any opinions? How about if you are in opposition, speak up now, otherwise we're going to move ahead with a motion. Hear no opposition. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the draft minutes for December 17th, 2025 with the edits submitted by by board members?
So moved.
I'm about to second, but I'd like to add a friendly amendment, again, giving Sarah the authority to contact me if she has any questions that to her it reads as being something very different than what was there.
Okay. So we'll take your second. We'll add the friendly amendment to if Sarah, as the administrator, notes that any of the edits were substantive, that she should bring it back to our next meeting for reapproval, review and reapproval.
Or call me and I'll say it's not worth delaying, so.
Okay. Sarah, does that work for you?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and we have a second with a friendly amendment. I'm hearing no further discussion.
Daryl Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Okay. Finally, the agenda items for our next meeting. We know that we will have the installer permit for Lutazi.
Yes.
We know that we will have the 2 food establishment permits for C&L Frosty with further information. We have a variance hearing, is that correct?
Yes.
That is correct. Yep. That's for 109 Nason Hill on the well,
Mhm.
distance to property line.
Okay. Anyone off the top of your head know anything else that we will have on the agenda next?
Well, or could we follow up with the water with DEP?
That
Yeah.
would be very interesting.
I'd be
Is there-
happy to call.
Yes.
Next, I think it's either tomorrow morning or next week. I haven't gotten confirmation from everybody yet. But we will be meeting with our advisory liaisons. There might be an update on the budget again, but I'm not sure.
When is the advisory meeting?
It's not an advisory meeting. We are meeting with the liaisons from the advisory board who are assigned to us. And it's either next week or tomorrow. I don't remember off the top of my head.
And who is the advisory liaison?
Her name is Divya, and then there's another person who is named
It's
Um,
Lauren,
Lauren.
starts with an H.
I wanted to say Laura, but it's
Laura. That could
No,
be
I think
Laura.
it's Laura. It's definitely LAU something something something.
Yeah, I think it's Laura. Pretty sure.
Yes. Laura.
And her last name starts with an H, I thought. I know that's really sad, but we don't know. Howenstein. Perfect. Okay, so potentially.
Sorry, it's on Monday at noon. Steve, actually, while I have you here, are you available Monday at noon?
I'm sorry, Sarah, say that again.
It's okay. Are you available Monday at noon?
I should be, yeah.
All right. See you then.
All right.
Mark, will we be getting any, I can't remember what the various kind of progress points were for North 121 North Main. I don't know if I have the number right.
112, 110, 112 North Main.
Yes,
Yeah, we're kind of, we already, he agreed to stay on track. I think I'll look back at the email, but he agreed to it. I think it's March, April, somewhere in that range, but I
Okay.
can look at
Okay.
that and
Yeah,
give
I
you
thought
an
it might be
update.
March, but just in case. All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do have another thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Sarah.
Lot 6R for 65 Farm Road, as I'm now looking at my email since I've left the office. We do have the comments from Mark Bartlett on that.
Okay. But for that, usually what happens is the agent then submits any deficiencies to the engineer, and there might still be back and forth before the agent says it's ready for review. I have no idea what the report says, but
I haven't either. The applicant was just indicating that they are on a quick timeline. So I feel like it's essential.
So if
I don't know.
If Stantec determines that it's ready for review by the board, it will be on the agenda. But I also recognize that the engineer may not have time.
Got it.
But
Sorry.
it is somewhere in our future, if not next meeting, probably the following meeting. Yeah. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Seconded.
Hearing no further discussion.
No, Darrell Beardsley, aye.
Steve Constantine, aye.
And Julie Dreyfus, aye.
Diana Hook, aye.
Rebecca Honeywell, aye.
Everyone have a great night.
Good night,
Take care.
everyone.
Stay healthy.
You too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Night.
Bye.